Hey everybody, before we get started, I just wanted to let anybody know who is impacted in any way by the war in Ukraine that I am praying for you and praying for you constantly. And I'm certainly not the only one who's praying for you. I know we have several listeners from both Russia and Ukraine. And like I said, that goes for anybody who's Russian or Ukraine or whoever is impacted by this. I'm praying for you and praying, quite frankly, for the people involved in this that there would be several miracles, the same miracles that we hear about all the time in this podcast that are so inspiring and so encouraging and give us hope that they would happen over there on the battlefield. And I pray for a quick and peaceful resolution to this as soon as possible. I'm going to be linking below, wherever it is that you're listening to this, ways that you can help those who are affected. And just want to remind everybody who's involved that God is with you and He has a plan. He will not fail you. And again, my heart goes out to you. My prayers are with you always. And just want to let you know that deeply sorry for what it is that everybody is going through over there. And we'll continue to be praying for you. God bless you all. How one woman's innocent foray into numerology and astrology sent her down the deceptive path of Reiki and encounters with demons and an incubus before she discovered that both Jesus and the Bible are real on this week's Spirit Answers podcast. Well, Jackeline, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be sharing my testimony with the world. I'm so happy, and I hope that this is helpful for anyone that is lost in the New Age practices.
Oh, of course. Thank you. It's really my honor. I want to go ahead and get us started real quick with your childhood because you're interesting as compared to many of the people that we've had on the podcast so far. You're from Honduras and currently live there, and that,
Yeah.
from what I understand, really shapes your testimony. And your testimony is going to eventually take us to places like Reiki energy healing, encounters with the demonic, and again, like many of the people that we have on this program, this was just through your intent to find spiritual meaning in your life. All you were trying to do is search for something greater than yourself. And of course, the demonic realm doesn't care about that. You just found you happened to find the wrong doorway. You went through it, but God was able to use that for your good and His greater good. And so, before we get to those fascinating stories, I want to take us back then to your time growing up there in Honduras, and how did that affect you and your beliefs?
Well, to be honest, generally in Latin America, people are generally speaking conservative. So obviously, we are conquered by Spanish people, people that are Catholic, people that are Christian, and you see Christianity flourish a lot in here. Maybe in Honduras, the 80% of people is Christian. So whatever practice that is New Age, tarot, Santeria, worshiping images, curses and witches is seen like, like the most horrible of things. And there's actually a lot of stories regarding, little pueblos, little I would say little cities, little cities around my country that have like very horrible stories about, how witches and stuff happen. And the reason why I introduced that in my testimony is because I wanted to give people the answer that why you were keeping all of these practices in New Age in such a secret, because getting to astrology and getting into all of these practices obviously is seen as wrong. It's seen like the most horrible things. And when you're awakened to the reality, to the truth of Jesus, obviously, it's true, right? But when you are in the new age, you are in an absolute different mindset. You see things, as something that is meant to guide you, and something that is meant for you to self-reflect and all that stuff that I will get in a little bit. So yeah, I was born in a very conservative Catholic family. My childhood was very participative inside the Catholic Church. I was baptized in there. I, you know, participated. I sang. I played the guitar. Since a very young age, like 8 years old. Um, we participated in Christmas. As a child, we have like those actings, like in the birth of Jesus, in the 24th of December, and all that beautiful things. We get to share a lot in the church. But in myself, I always felt that I needed to do those things to please my family, because from my side, when I was a kid, I just wanted to play. I just wanted to have a good time. I hated that they forced me to do these things, while they teach me to pray. They teach me since a very young age, how to refer myself to God, and for me that was enough. But I think that is like the seed that started the problem. That they were forcing me to do these things, and I just didn't like it. I just felt, uh, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to go out. I wanted to walk. I wanted to know the city. That
Mm-hmm.
that child stuff. Um, After that, I must add that the most important thing about my childhood is that since I was really young, I always felt like I was different. I felt like, I was different than other people. I felt rejected. I felt, that I was so shy, and I didn't like to spoke to people first. So I isolated myself, and I just felt overall rejected. I felt like I was, in another vibe than other people, in another playground. And that still affects me to this day, because I am a very reserved and, an introverted person. The only thing that the only way for me to speak to people is that they speak to me. They first talk to me. So this feeling of rejection and isolation and feeling misunderstood since my childhood, led me to astrology in my teenage years. That's why it is so important for me to talk about these issues that were in my childhood, because they are key to start to develop the story. um my family and my social life, like I told you, I was dismotivated. I was uncomfortable attending uh, Christian church, Catholic church. um Later on, I got into an Adventist school. The only reason being is because I was close to the school, and she was like, my mom was like, yeah, you want to get there, that there's a friend of you in there. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. So in this particular school, since you're really young, they start to give you speeches about Jesus, and about how contaminated the society is. But when you're a kid, or you're a teenager, you're enjoying the world, and sadly the world is full of toxicity and full of lies. and you enjoy being part of it, because you feel like, I mean, it's the world. You are meant to belong in one place. So enjoying um, really dark music like black metal and all of that stuff. There were a lot of people in my school that enjoyed those type of music.
So it really seemed like everything kind of with Christianity was kind of a facade, or it didn't seem like it was truly changing people's hearts to you, right? The people around you didn't truly seem to
Exactly.
have a heart change.
Yeah, there were not much examples in Christianity. This is one of the most key things that, like, why I turned my back on Christianity in my teenage years, because I saw people like family members and people that were in my school that they claim to be Christian, but their actions, treating bad people, insulting people, um, giving in into gossip, and many other things, that I was like, really, is this what a Christian is? People that is just evil and mean, uh, congregating in a church that is allegedly made for selected people that are meant to speak the word of God, because obviously not everyone will attend the church. So I was just disappointed, and those questionable actions just affected the way that I saw um, Christianity, not only Catholic people, every type of Christian, because I saw um, how evil and even perverse some people were, like the actions of the Catholic Church in the past, that's whole story. That those actions, I mean, I am not meant to talk about this in this testimony, but it truly triggered me in my teenage years, and I was like, you know what, I am giving up God. I am tired that I'm seeing evil people talking about God. I pray every day about God, but I am tired. I truly am. And I will look forward into history, into science, because allegedly it tells me the truth. They have facts, and yeah, it was pretty easy for me to turn my back because of it. So entering my teenage years, I will say that I was introduced into astrology and numerology. And that was the big door for me. That was the door that opened me for the new age that I was, so in love with the last year. So
How did you get introduced to astrology and numerology? Was it just your own curiosity?
yeah, I remember that when I was, that like 13 years old. I saw a lot of magazines that have like this Libra and Aquarius and these horoscopes, and I was like, oh, this is, cool. They're allegedly giving advice for everyone, you know.
Right.
And I was like, oh, interesting. I want to search for this in the internet and look up for it, because I was intrigued by it, like why people um you can classify people according to their personality, and as a misunderstood child, someone that has been rejected, someone that people turn their backs on them because they didn't understood what they were saying. Sometimes I felt one way, and even friends and family, they will look at me and they will not validate my experience and my feelings, and I felt rejected and I feel wounded by that.
Mm.
And when I discovered astrology and numerology, that was a way to interpret your personal life, why you are the way that you are, and why you are so unique. I just was fascinated by it because, oh my God, I have all the answers. This astrology gives me the why I feel this way, why I love this way, why I act this way, why I like the things that I like, and what I am meant to do in this lifetime.
Mm,
I was fascinated because it was just, for a 13 years old, it's just, you know, crazy because
right.
just by looking at a like a just by looking at your astral chart, you can get all the answers that you need, what you're meant to learn in this lifetime, your past lives, and all of that. And that is really, really deep, because even if as a Christian, I just ask myself, is that is real? Is that real? Like, for real? If we come from past lives and we have like that baggage allegedly that we need to solve in this lifetime and all that stuff, that is all new age. And this astrology is like, for me, it's like the big door, because when you go to astrology, then it goes all connected. The meditations and the alleged, like the aura, and these beliefs that the energies from the cosmos allegedly are affecting the energies in this world, and that's why in the exact hour that you are born, and in the exact place, you are born unique, because the stars and the cosmos were aligned in a way that it give the vibe that and the destiny that you are meant to come into this lifetime. And that's why I was just so hooked up, like crazy in love with it, because oh my God, I can not only understand myself, but I can understand the world, and I can understand people, why they are the way that they are. And it's just so deep. And if you go to an astrologer and stuff like that, if they listen what I'm telling you, they will say you like, yeah, that's true. That's what we are meant to do. We are meant to interpret this stuff that is going on. And well, I fell in love with it. I started studying it, for the last almost 7 years. And I didn't become an astrologer, obviously, but I knew a lot.
Right. And
And
I want to point out real quick, and you started relatively young. You were only around 12 or 13 when you got into it, right?
yeah, it was like this, like a hobby, actually, like a hobby, just reading about it, and knowing the general parameters, that what it is, how you can interpret it, and I just got hooked up in that. So numerology came later. Um, the numbers, I mean, astrology, numerology, I think they are the same. They just meant to interpret what path you're meant to follow, what you like, and it's almost all the same, but they use numbers instead of the cosmos. So I fell in love with that. I truly felt that I knew myself. Like, with those sciences, they are not sciences, but in the new age they are seen as sciences. I think that when you discover that knowledge, you feel like, oh, if someone didn't understand the way that I am, and they don't accept me, well, I can accept myself and I can understand myself. So, um, okay, that led me to through 7 years. And during my teenage years, I remember that I like a lot of horror stories. I just enjoyed the thrill about it. And I have a question for you. If you ever seen a horror movie, and after you end up looking that movie, you feel like you're being seen by someone. Like, that is like the worst feeling ever. And it's the exact same when you get into into seeing like these creepy pastas and these horror movies and these horror writings, you feel like someone is watching you.
Mm.
And it's truly like a door for them to come because you're intrigued by dark things, obviously. Like evil spirits are like, oh yeah, sign me up. Let meet her. Let me bother her. So
Right,
yeah.
right. I think that's a great point. The more that you start to, go into these types of entertainment, I think that the more, just like any other type of thing that we've talked about already, or that we've talked about in other shows, like in the New Age, I do think that it opens up doorways. I think that you're saying to Satan, okay, I'm okay with you being in this particular part of my life. And so I'm happy that you bring that up. I think that's a great point, that it really is creating another doorway.
Yeah, and you don't even realize,
Right.
one of my best friends, actually, when I told him like everything of my life, my testimony, he actually said, you know what, I was into that too, and I felt the same. And even now that I gave my life to Jesus, sometimes I feel that, I feel seen, I feel bothered. And I think it's because I read all of this, creepy pastas and horror stories, and even people get into so dark that they get into studying demonology, and uh, it's another thing. I wasn't interested in that, but still, I was already in astrology. I was already in numerology, and this is occult sciences. So
Right.
opening a door to this horror, it's like, you already give like a little chance to open the door, like you're like, yeah, let's open it. But when you come into the horror stories
Right.
and these evil things, you're opening the door like straight up.
Right.
So um, those were like my first encounters and experiences that with evil things. I felt watched every day. um, I remember one of my, well, I have two stories within sleep paralysis. There were like, they are like the most clear for me. One of them was like 6 in the morning. I was resting, I was, enjoying my sleep. I don't know, I don't think that I was yeah, I just woke up like at 6 a.m. and saw something. And just think that my bedroom is close to the door. My bedroom is exactly stick into one of the it's just straight up in front of the door.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I remember that my door was open, but I was just so sleepy that I just fell asleep. But in these cases, I feel like sleep paralysis is like your body is sleeping, but your spirit is woke up. So I
Yeah.
remember that, I was laying down on my bed normal, and I remember seeing this figure, like this evil figure. I cannot describe it. Like it was just horrible. It looked like a dead body or like a dead woman.
Wow.
And it had like this it had like a very green tone, or like a green sheen to it. It looked like, like a zombie that have like a lot of slime over them, and they have like this green sheen to them. It was just so horrible. And I remember that, when I saw it, I just couldn't move. I was so shocked. And she was just watching me in front of the at the side of the door, and she smiled at me, and it was just so horrible. I
Sounds horrifying.
she even I remember that at once she was laughing. It was the most horrible laugh ever. It feels like
Wow.
you're in a horror movie. And the only way that I could, release myself from that paralysis it was like screaming Jesus in my mind, like, Jesus, help me. God, oh my God, what is happening? What is
Wow.
wrong? Leave me. I was so desperate.
Hey everybody, it's Alex here. Just wanted to give you the opportunity to share your testimony the same way that Jackeline is right now. She reached out to me to share her testimony. So if you have your own New Age to Jesus testimony, your own near-death experience, maybe an assortment of different testimonies, maybe a bunch of smaller experiences, miracles, an encounter with an angel or demon, please send your testimony in either written format or video to spiritanswerspodcast@gmail.com. And a reminder, too, that you can always send in a recommendation as well if you have someone else's testimony that really caught your eye or left an impact on you, either by way of YouTube or maybe you found it on like a site like Reddit or something like that. Feel free to send that to me as well, and I'll do what I can to try to get that person on the show. So thank you again for sending your testimony or recommendation, and thank you again for all you do to support the podcast. I really appreciate it. Now back to the interview with Jackeline. And real quick, I just want to see how quickly did this or these types of experiences happen when you got into astrology and creepypastas? Did it take a while?
I think it took a little bit, just a little bit, maybe 1 year.
Okay.
But I believe that is because when you're starting off, you can easily leave it and you're not really opening that that straight up the door for them to visit until you get obsessed with them,
Right.
or you get caught up with them and they realize, oh yeah, like we have her.
Right.
Let's go in. So yeah, I had that experience, and I remember that I have a similar experience, but it was at night, and it was like 6 months difference. It was like and like an exact same figure. It was horrible. It was like a, yeah, like the same description, but it was another spirit, I will say. And the difference between them is that not only I was paralyzed, but I felt like she was choking my neck. I couldn't breathe. And in those moments, that after that experience, I was like, you know what, I'm leaving this whole horror creepypasta stuff. This is not good.
I was just going to ask you, did you, in that particular one where you felt like you were getting choked, did you say Jesus's name in that instance as well and it
I
didn't work?
I scream God. I
Wow.
promise you, I scream God, and they were laughing like it was evil. You feel like you're being tortured because they just come in and they're like, oh yeah, let's bother her, and they do it with such a pleasure, and it's so crazy because we think, no, it's not going to harm you, just reading them and just being enjoying horror stories and stuff like that, but they do affect you. They open the door for spirits that are going to bother your life. They are going to maybe make you insane at some point,
Mm.
and you will
Mm-hmm.
not feel peace until you crave God. So with those experiences, I had some particular experiences too, but they were not like extremely traumatizing like those ones that I told you. So I left those things and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving these things. And that was that in my teenage years. So I move on to my first encounter with God when I was 17. um I think that the only reason I am here is because of that special moment. Um, I was 17. I was having a lot of issues within my family. You know, as I told you, I had a really toxic relationship, and it involved a lot of stuff. He was a very, I wouldn't say evil, but he was a very damaged person. So hurt people hurt people. And that was like the first time that I was truly falling in love with someone. I was so attached to him. I experienced a lot of humiliation. I experienced a lot of hate towards, even if I love him, he hated me at what point, but it was toxic because it was a toxic relationship. There were a lot of fights, there was a lot of, anger, and there was a lot of issues, regarding this relationship. And that just messed up my life, messed up everything. I was lonely. I couldn't speak to my family about this topic because I knew they will obviously reject me. They will obviously, they wouldn't get me because it was a very unique situation. Um, and, honestly, it came a point that I was so alone. I didn't have much friends to talk about it because they were so tired about uh, listening to me and being like, oh my God, I am tired of you talking about him. Leave him. Like it's over. But I was so attached to him. I felt that the love that I wanted and I craved for a very long time, he was giving me bits of that. So yeah, in that moment is that was like the moment that I discovered Jesus. That was the moment because I was lonely. I didn't talk about I didn't talk to anyone in my school. I was dealing with things in with my own strength, and I just broke up. And I just touched. I hit rock bottom, and I wondered, the God that they were teaching me to to love and praise in a young age, could he understand me? Could he love me in this moment in my life? Because I am not receiving that from anyone right now. I'm not receiving that. And I remember, bending my knees and just starting to talk to Jesus, God, if you're real, you know, I am hitting rock bottom. My life is a mess. You know, I am destroyed. Like my heart is just broken. And you are the only one that understands why and how I feel so much, because I am very emotional. And when I get to love someone, obviously it hurts me a lot. So I speak and I just release everything that I had to say. Like he was an old friend for me. And I just remember like having and the most beautiful and loving presence in my room.
Wow.
He was just I was my knees were in the ground, and he was beside me. I felt something. I felt love for the first time. I felt the most beautiful peace ever in my life.
Mm.
I felt that through him I get through so much. I ended up many toxic relationships. I moved on to college. I started new. And, it's funny. It's funny to see that and being like, oh my God, is that enough proof for you, Bessie, to give in and truly start, as a Christian? And the reason why I couldn't leave that astrology and stuff like that is because I was also attached to those beliefs and I didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know I started my 20s, and it comes a point that I am introduced in the COVID era, the new age meditation. Everyone is struggling, everyone is through so much, and I was living through so much. And I thought that um, astrology and meditation and all of this stuff that is posted on social media and commonly praised, it will help me. So I started doing that. and I got into tarot, you know, I got into Reiki, you know. Um,
And was this just all by way of the internet, or did you know people that were into these types of new age activities?
to be honest, I just was introduced from that by the internet, really. Like, I didn't have anyone in my family, and I still don't have anyone in my life that has entered, you know, these new age practices, if not of YouTube or if not of someone that they know. But in my case, it's pure internet. So um, this is the hardest part of my testimony, because um, I will be talking about tarot and Reiki and how this stuff really messed my life. It just destroyed a relationship that I had with someone special with me last year. And meditation and Reiki, you know, it did nothing for me. It did nothing. I believe that, you know, I was reflecting and I was in a state that, you know, I was being cleansed and I was releasing all of this tension and chakras and stuff. But it doesn't really work. It's just a calming situation. You can see a video online or you can do a ritual on real life, but they don't serve you truly. They don't give you peace. They just give you, you know, a little bit of calmness, and then you can move on with your life and find the strength
Right.
to.
It's like a distraction.
Yeah, it's exactly, it's a distraction. It's just like, you know, it's just like telling yourself that, you know, you're in a bad situation in your life and you believe that, you know, taking a bath will make things better. You know, maybe it will cleanse your body and you can go to sleep uh, with a better you know, with a better physical state, but it will not solve your problems.
Yeah, really well said.
It will not. And they say no, but you know, this is just auxiliary. This just helps, you know, like to relax and to release and to, you know, tap in into the divine guidance and all of that stuff. And you know, when you see yourself back believing in those things, you're just like, this is so funny, because this is not what is happening in here. So yeah.
At
um
at this point, did you know that these types of like new age modalities went against Christianity?
to be honest, no, no,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah, and that's why I asked that because I figured that you did, and I was the same. I just kind of I honestly it's crazy because when I first got into it, I had never read the Bible, and even after I listened to the Bible for the first time, it was my first way of reading it, was listening to it from front to back, and for some reason, it's almost like there was a spiritual um like a force field going on. I had listened to that whole Bible, and for some reason, I didn't even realize that the Bible condemned like divination and going to psychics and I'm telling you I was listening to it. I was fervently listening to it, but for some reason the connection wasn't made. So I do think it's very easy to get when you're not firmly grounded in truth to kind of have a little bit of an maybe just like a microscopic understanding of Christianity and who that and the Christian God, but still be into all of these different beliefs and not understand how they conflict with each other. You think that it's all coming from like the same source, the same spiritual source, when in reality it couldn't be further from the truth.
Honestly, that is so true, because you know, I remember that when I was in Reiki or when I was, you know, having a tarot reading, I remember that they told me, you know, take this with a grain of salt. You know, energies change and we are giving you the truth, and we are asking spirit, you know, a spirit, you know, he's not God and you know who he is. um and they claim you that you are free to choose, that even if you are a Christian or, you know, any religion, you there's no harm in it. there's no harm. So when you explain this, that when you don't have an actual foundation in Jesus and you don't read the Bible, you don't build that relationship with him, you can be easily deceived. And that's why, many people that have been into Christianity often live and they get into these practices because they haven't found a way to build a relationship with Jesus. And that is not through the church. Is you reading the Bible, you praying, you always connecting with God, because the ultimate salvation is not following the church, is following him. So the Bible is his testimony of his life and his existence, and what we are meant to do and what we are not meant to do. So it's pretty easy to see like why I got so lost. And even if I had my first encounter with God, why it didn't work out, because I didn't have a foundation in Jesus that was stable enough to guide me and say, no, this is wrong.
Right. It was like a flare gun going off that showed you that there indeed was a higher power. There was something to this spiritual world, but all the dots were not connected for you yet. There was still there was still a fog over the spiritual world. You didn't yet understand how the different parts of it connected.
Exactly. Well, I won't be too I will like to, but I will be as direct with my tarot and Reiki practices. First off, with tarot, I will start off saying that, in the last year, I met a very special person for me. And, we were interacting and we were having a relationship, basically, But the thing is that things just happened so fast, and it ended up so fast. Um, and I was, I was shocked because even though that things ended in my mind, I was like, oh my God, but I don't want to lose this person. I care so much for them. And that was the thing that introduced me to tarot, that I have this issue going on with my life, that I didn't want it to let go of someone. And you enter to the tarot, and you can search for them in YouTube, really, and find the alleged answers to your questions. What does this person feel? What is the purpose of this connection? And they start, they are a lot of videos, and you can choose whatever you want, and see them and see that will if that will fit with your situation. If not, you have to go to a tarot reader and let them read the cards for you. So with my tarot situation, um, basically I was deceived into believing that this person that already is in a relationship is someone that I was meant to get married with. And they start telling you like, oh my God, this is a divine union. Like this guy, even if you're apart with them right now, you are meant to be with this person, because in your past lives you were lovers too. And they start, putting so much information that the thing is that with tarot, when you feel like the message is for you, they start describing your situation. And oftentimes they describe my situation perfectly, even if I didn't knew them. And I was so shocked, and I was like, oh my God, if they are telling me this and they don't even know about me, that is obviously because this is true, right? So I was deceived into believing that. And the the truth always comes out. I realized that this person was dating someone else, and they were, in a committed relationship, and you are there expecting them to be your person. So
That must
it's
have been really challenging.
frustrating. It's frustrating. It's heartbreaking, because it's not the fault of the person. They didn't play you out. You play yourself by believing lies, and the devil knows what your heart craves. He knows you so well that he will set you on traps uh, to cut you and to have a miserable life, and that is what I felt that happened with this situation, that he was talking through these psychics and these tarot readers, and they wanted me to believe that this person that I was so attached with was the love of my life, and I need to wait for them. And the clock the clocks goes by and there's nothing. The devil promises, but he will never deliver. So um in my case, I will say that tarot is the worst of any new age practice. Always, almost to the level of meditation and that astral projection stuff, because it gives you the expectation. It puts you the seed of wanting to control things. If they don't want me, if this is not happening, but I want it, I will make it happen. Um, you're being lied. And you know even if you're not asking about a loving person, they are still lying to you. Because they don't know the future. Those spirits that are allegedly good, they want to contact you through tarot, are evil. They want to lose you. And I would love to get deeper into this, but you know if you see something regarding tarot, just don't see it, because
Yeah.
I was so heartbroken over an expectation of something that will not happen.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but I just pray to God every day for this person. I'm like, you know what, God, you are the one who delivers. You are the one who, if you want to do something, you will. So I ask you for this person every day. I am sorry if anything that I was involved with, these divination practices affected the other person's life, and I wish him the best. I hope that he is happy, and if I ever have the chance to talk to them again, I know that it will be because of your will, and that's it. I let them go. I realized that part of the tarot thing, that is so famous, it's a lie. So I started connecting the dots. And I started seeing that, it's not only tarot, it's also meditation, and it's also all of these new age practices. They claim to give you guidance. They claim for you that you're receiving the light of source, as they say, of the universe, and you're being ascending to something, another path, a better path for you. And I feel like the new age is fully egotistical. It's just claiming for you, you are the owner of your life, you can speak, and make things happen. It's so crazy. And I don't have to get into the law of attraction and this manifestation stuff, because obviously you're doing things because you think that you have the power. That is what Satan wants you to know, that, oh, you have the power to claim whatever you want, and you have the power to manifest this person. You have the power to, as you speak, create things and make things happen. But that's not true. That's not true. I was so mad. I had so much beef with tarot, for 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 guiding me in the worst of ways, that I just started investigating. I realized that this Reiki meditation, this type of stuff, it's all a lie. And to add up to that, I remember that my last Reiki stuff, my last practice, I was attacked by a demon. And
Wow.
it's horrible. I remember that I was in my room. I was laying down in my room. I wasn't seeing like a Reiki from a famous YouTuber, like you're allegedly connecting with archangels and praying and all of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, this sounds, like it's good. So I fell asleep. I fell asleep because that session was like an hour long. And I remember that I felt that something was, you know, was pushing me into the bed, like an abuser type of vibe. It
Wow.
was horrible.
And real quick, just so the audience understands, so you were essentially receiving a Reiki healing session like electronically through the internet, through YouTube, isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I was actually like meditating until I fell asleep. So, okay, I fell asleep. I am laying in my bed and I feel like something, my spirit is woke, but my body is asleep. So I feel that something, you know, comes into my bed and pushes me into the bed. And it has the most abusive vibe ever, because this evil spirit started to touch one of my breasts, and it was horrible. Like it felt like he literally wanted to abuse sexually of me. And I remember, that I wanted to come forward and stand in. I didn't want to be laying in my bed. So the spirit put his hand on my neck and pushed me to lay down into the bed. And I was, he was shocking me and he was touching me and all of that stuff. It was horrible. um and I was starting to say God in my mind. I was like, oh my God, please help me, release me from this. you know and until I spoke God, he left. And before he left, he was laughing. Like it had like, oh my God, like that laugh, it was the worst laugh ever. Even if I told you, that those past experiences, that was the worst, because I felt literally humiliated. I woke up and I felt like my breast had been touched. So I knew that it was real. And many other things happened to me while I was on Reiki. I felt dark energy, that dark spirits pushing me into wherever I was laying down. And they say, oh, Reiki is for anxiety and for relieving your stress, but I can assure you that in my worst of times, it has been like nonsense. It has been like the worst experience for me. And you know those things started to happen. The only way that I was attached to the new age is because I believe in this in ancient people. I like to read about archaeology and all of that stuff, and you get lost in there, because you start wanting the answers, the answers of ancient situations. They practice all of this. You see a lot of magic in the past, and you get fascinated because you believe that, oh, because it's ancient, this is wisdom.
Right. It seems like there is a level of, like you said, wisdom there, that is it, that a lot of, I think a lot of modern day like academics kind of put on these civilizations. It's almost like a very exotic, mystical, and seductive type of
Yeah.
front that they assign to these ancient
And
societies.
yeah, and if you're already into the new age, when you see those things, you you get deeper into them, because you're not only having these practices, like Reiki and meditating, and even some people astral projecting and tarot and all of that stuff, but you start seeing those practices being done in the past. Actually, I read a lot of information about how ancient people, even the Egyptians, the Amazonian people, and the Native Americans always have this drink that it's a type of hallucinogenic. I don't know if you have heard of the DMT, ayahuasca, and stuff like that. But when you get in there, you know that you reach a level of compromise into the new age that you're all in. So because you start seeing those things and you think that they are sacred, because oh, they are ancient, these people had wisdom, these people were advanced, and these people practice this, so if they practice this, it must not be wrong.
Right. And also just adding to the fact that you realize that there is something to the spiritual world, and you're many people are taught that there's nothing more to this life than just the physical. And so when you combine those two parts of it, that there is a spiritual world and that there's wisdom attached to these experiences, that is a very seductive thing. And when you are looking for life, for meaning in life, and you're hurt and you have nowhere else to go, these different types of experiences become very, very attractive. I also think back real quick, like to when I was in the new age, like talking about like numerology, like you had mentioned before. And I look back now and I can't believe that that was what I used to use to guide my direction, my steps was numbers. But when you have no other sense of direction, no other sense of spiritual direction or meaning, those numbers are, it's really absolutely incredible, the feeling that they give you, that finally you found something that can kind of give you this little
Yeah.
piece of direction and spiritual truth that you've been clawing and searching for so long. So I think I think that I agree with what you're saying. You're just trying to point out that it's very, very easy to get lost in all of this when you're looking for these different types of answers and the spiritual wisdom.
Yeah, and I truly believe that when you're introduced into the new age, when you search all of these practices, you gain you gain um, that feeling that you have power.
Right.
You have that power. Oh, I can create my own reality. Oh, I know more than the majority of people. I am in the path of the enlightenment. I am ascending, and it's so crazy because they claim that you're they mix a lot of things. That's why
Right.
people get lost into the new age.
Exactly.
We all know that we come from the same source of life, that is God. But when they speak about source and the creator, as they claim, they say that, but even if they know that we came from the same source, they still in they still have a lot of ego. They still are like, oh my God, but I am awoken to the truth. I am, beyond many people that I know that are so ignorant, and that is arrogance. So it's so crazy how they mix these things, and I know that the evil spirits have made this so that people get confused and at the end give up into the new age. It's so easy. So yeah, I would say that my Reiki stuff went really deep. I started, tracking the moon cycles, and every moon cycle signified something, and according to that, I did something that day. Oh, this is, for example, a new moon. You have to put your crystals, and you have to put your water in, so in order to gain moon water. And even if you can stand up naked into the moon so that you can gain the psychic powers, that you are more intuitive, and that stuff. So I did a lot of those things. I you know it had some crystals. I did all of that. I did all of that. I don't think that if someone crosses this video, doesn't know about it, they obviously know. um I see myself back, and I am just frustrated because honestly, how in the world I could be believing that? But honestly, obviously, Satan has made this new age really, really well, so that everyone can fall into it. The majority of people like my age or your age, if they don't have a foundation in Jesus, they can easily be led into these practices. And that's it. I think that is the importance of my testimony. My main point is to give information, my experience to people, so that they can realize that all of this new age is a lie, but you will not know that it's a lie until you have a foundation with Jesus, until you start having a relationship with Jesus. You don't, stop caring about how people allegedly Christian have been acting in the past. God makes justice for everyone, and you have to act right. Do the right thing, the thing that God sends you to do in this world, and that will be the path for you to have a beautiful life and have a peaceful life. A month ago I was hitting rock bottom, realizing that all of these things were a lie. I started seeing YouTube videos about other people's testimonies about the new age, how they affected their life. And I started connected the dots, and I was like, oh my God, these experiences are so similar to mine. And I'm just, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, is this God's calling to me to realize that I've been lied to this whole time? And I surely believe that it was. And I just started, I am a very radical person. If I see something and I love it, and I see that there's a purpose to it, I do it. It doesn't matter what I have in my going on in my life. I just change it. And I saw God in through all of these lies, and I started praying to him. I got rid of my crystals. I got rid of any sacred water. That is not sacred water. um, I got rid of anything that was linked to the new age. I got rid of drawings that I had, because I am a drawer. I love to draw, and I love to illustrate things that I love. I had a lot of things, like sacred geometry, and I had a lot of uh, new age stuff, the I had the drawings of hieroglyphs from Egypt, because I was fascinated by them. And I got rid of everything. I just have, I just throw them out. I throw them out, and that was it. That was it. I was like, you know what, God, I know that you have been guiding me all along. And for me, it's a pleasure to get rid of all of these things if I have to have you in my life. It's such a gift. It's such a pleasure for me to share my life with you. And I promise, that, now I see my mistakes. And now I will start to do what I have to do in order to be a true Christian. It's not only going to the church, getting warmed up into the chair, but it's having a relationship with him, following him, following his commandments, and you know anytime that I have a nightmare, or just don't have a peaceful life, I have a problem, I know where to go. And he always delivers. Casually, this is the right timing for me to talk my testimony, because I finished my last trimester of college a week ago.
Oh,
So
congrats.
yeah, thank you. I mean, I feel that when I gave up my life, my soul to Jesus, I just felt like any and every type of anxiety and fear, and everything that was affecting me, was swept away. It was clean. I woke up and I felt peace in a year. I woke up and I was like, oh my God,
Wow.
what a blessing to have God in my life. I must add that, it's not only the confusion, that, the heartbreak that I had with this guy, that was happening in a month ago, but I was full of anxiety. I had so much work. I was, so stressed out because of college, and I was delivering things. I felt like I was having a lot of struggles in it. And I mean, I just gave up my life. And, a week ago, I was, so relaxed, so distressed. Let's do the exam. I'm happy. I did my best effort. And, that is that is the gift of God, that gift that God gives to his children, that we can wake up, and whatever happens in our lives, he's there. He's guiding you, and he finds a way to your heart. And even if you don't want to talk to anyone, and if you have a bad day, you as a Christian know that he's the one that you need to talk with. He's the one who is listening, and he's the one that can change everything. And that is my testimony. Any anxiety, anything, give up to God and follow him. Because I know that the world tells you, oh, but you can do whatever you want, and you are free, and you don't have to follow this God, you don't have to follow this Jesus. Build your life and build your journey, and choose whatever you think is right for you. That is the truth of freedom. You're not doing anything wrong to other people. Okay, you follow it, but that is not the true meaning of freedom. The freedom is being able to rest every single night, knowing that God is protecting you, knowing that anything wrong that happens in your life, he's he's with you. He's beside you, and he's guiding you, and he will know the way out of any situation. And that is what um, that is what gives me faith, after all of this um, struggle that I've been in my life, finally giving up and realizing that his commandments are perfectly good, that those things that he is asking from you, they are what you need to follow in order to have a fulfilling life, you know and I'm happy. I'm happy, and I am accepting of everything. And I mean, I think that um the most beautiful time in my day. This is one a very important thing to add, is that, you know, the peace that I felt when I was in the new age doesn't compare to the peace that I have when I'm reading my Bible with before I'm going to sleep. You
Mm.
feel like, you know, Reiki claims to, oh, but when I'm cutting this in your aura, uh, you will feel something, you know, you will feel more peaceful because I'm releasing you from problems. But really, I didn't felt that. I felt that, you know, when I started reading the Bible, and I felt like he was speaking to me through his word. And there was a heat in my body that I can identify as being like, oh my God, I feel so joyful. I feel so happy, so peaceful, so full of the love of God. And that is insanely beautiful.
Mm.
That is the most beautiful feeling I've ever had. You feel like you're shining. You feel like you're the sun and you're shining, and you have the most beautiful I will say energy, but you have the most beautiful energy ever. You feel like you have everything, that you achieve everything. Even if I am very young, you know, I feel accomplished by reading the Bible, by having a relationship with God, and by treating Him as we have to treat Him. So um, I'm so thankful for you to listen to all of this. I know that it's really long, but
No, not at all.
um, I'm so happy that one day to someone, you know, if they listen to this story, they will be touched because they will have an answer to something that they have been full of fear of doubt.
Mm. Wow, how incredible. And I didn't realize before we started speaking. So you've only been out of the new age for about a month now, is that right?
Yeah, actually, 1 month and my life just changed. You know, it gave a turn of 180 degrees. You know, I am lost in one part of my life, and then I'm just like, you know what? I am found. God
Wow.
has saved me from everything,
Wow.
and my relationships improved. My my whole life improved. You know, I don't have any anxiety. I know that He's working on things. I don't have I don't have anything that really bothers me daily. And if I have, you know, if I have any issue, like today, I had an issue that I messed up something, you know, I ask God and He delivers, you know. So that's for me, that I am the living proof of as many other people that work God. When you give yourself to God, like truly, you know, He will work for you. He will give you what you need, and whatever you ask, it shall be given to you, as the Bible says. And that is the best thing ever, you know. You don't have to worry about the future. Um, you don't have to be stressed. And even if you're stressed, you know, you ask for God for deliverance. You ask for God to calm yourself down, and that He's the whole remedy. He's the whole he's the cure, you know.
Mm.
And I know that the new age is something that uh, attracts a lot of people because it has a lot of ways to attract people, you know. Some people will tell you, oh, tarot, and they will enter the new age with tarot. But in my experience, many of us feel special. They tell you that you're special, and you know that triggers you. That triggers you truly, and and you start wanting more, and you end up in astrology, and you end up seeking psychics, and you know
Right.
that very famous guidance. You know, even they have apps for it, like uh, even they have, I think they have like websites when you can contact psychics 24 hours. I mean, it's like and like 911.
It's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Truly remarkable. What I mean, this is a very special time, so really cherish it. Just finding the truth here within the last month, and it's just so cool and so beautiful to hear how filled you are with the spirit in such a short amount of time, and you can see how different it is, that peace that surpasses all understanding, as opposed to the drug-like sensations that you get from the new ages. They're night and day. And I just also want to kind of bring it back real quick too. I think it's how we started the conversation actually before we started recording. I really appreciated what you said as it relates to, if God gives you the opportunity to one day raise your own child. You said that you would do it a little bit differently, and I think it'd be great if you would be willing to kind of share what that difference would be.
I will give them the option to choose, as God, He gave us free will. And I will teach them about Jesus. I will teach my kids about what He has done in my life. But at the end, they will choose with whom they want to serve, because being with Jesus is being His servant, and being His servant is loving Him. So I will I will teach them about God, but um, I will not force them to be in the church if they don't want to, because it will come a point that they will have enough, they will be mature enough to decide in what path they want to be in, and the most beautiful thing that I think that it will have an influence on me when I raise my children is the presence of one of my aunts. She's like that, she didn't have kids, but for me, she's a mom. She's my mom, and she has been through a lot. Also, she suffered from witchcraft. She went through a lot in her younger years, and God delivered her peace and love. God gave her peace, and she has become a Christian ever since. And whenever you talk about her, you need her, she is always open to listen to you, and she will respect your decisions, even if she knows that you're choosing the wrong path. That
Right.
is like the example that I want to follow, because I remember, that like 3 months ago I was talking with her about some speech about some ancient discoveries, and those ancient discoveries were about frequency and vibration and all of that stuff. So I was just talking about this topic, and she was like, I think that you're getting too lost in this topic. I believe that, whatever you're into is just confusing you and setting you off the truth. The truth is Jesus. And I was so mad at her, because I was like, I'm just talking to you. I know that you're really open-minded, but I didn't expect you to have that response.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Oh, are you into the new age?" No, I don't know where she asked me that, and I was like, "Yeah, I find that I feel so happy and so free when with these new practices." And she was like, "You know what? Follow your heart. All of that stuff, it ain't good." But she just told me that she didn't went too deep into it. She was like, if you get lost, I hope that you find your way. And here we are.
Wow.
Here we are, giving my testimony, and that is the example that I want to follow.
Mhm.
I cannot force people into. I will not force my kids when they get, enough mature. If they want to choose a path, if they want to be in a certain religion, okay. but I am your mom and I will guide you and I will give you my opinion, but you have the free will. And that is something that I didn't have when I was young. And that is, I think, something that led me easier to to fall into the new age. So for me, it's really important to recall that free will, God gave you free will. Yes, I am your mother, but God said this to everyone. Don't force anyone into believing that I am God. Let them come to me. And that is what I experienced. That is what I truly believe, that you have to search for him
Mm.
because he's there. He's waiting for you with open arms.
Yes, he said he does set an incredible example for us, doesn't he, by giving us that free will. And then I think that we should be, like you said, perfectly take that and mirror that in our own relationships. And I think that is the epitome of true love is giving people the free will and the choice to choose or not choose you, and being at peace with that. The exact same as our creator. So thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us. And it's just absolutely incredible to understand that you're 20 years old and you have the wisdom that you have and the understanding of God and His truth and Jesus, and the way that you do and you express here just in this limited amount of time in our interview. It's beyond many people that have been in the church for several years, and it's just so cool to see how God has worked in your life in such a minimal amount of time, and to see that relationship start to blossom so quickly the way that it has. And I can't thank you enough for joining us. And I am excited to see how God continues to guide and direct your steps. I think you have very big things ahead of you for the kingdom.
Well, I am his child. I am his child, and I hope that as for you, for me, we have a great successful life, always guiding ourselves through Jesus. I am so happy that you answered my email, because I was when I saw that I had the chance to share my testimony. I was like, oh my God, I have so much to say, and I know that someone out there, will benefit from this testimony. And being as long as it is, there's so many things that I just broke down in my life that just went wrong, because I was into these practices. And at the end, you just wake up and you realize, the awakening that you will experience is through God, not through anything else. And, you know, um, thank you so very much for listening my story. And I am so thankful that, God guided me to sharing my story. And I hope that um, I share my story in my country, soon enough, I will access to a church and give my testimony of life. And I hope that, as here in Honduras, we are a very conservative people. So this type of stories, this type of experiences are not very common. So whenever I have the chance, I will speak. And of course, always with the purpose of praising God, and knowing that He's so merciful towards everyone. If we truly uh, uh, ask for Him, ask forgiveness, He will forgive us. And we have time right now to truly choose Him, and live a happy life, because we are so young, and we have a future that we will experience. So what better decision is to follow Jesus since a young age?
Mm. Yeah, beautifully said, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. That it's also my pleasure. I hope that you enjoyed this time with me as much as I did, and have a great night. And God bless you. I hope that you keep doing this podcast. It truly helps people to share many things that they commonly don't tell to people. So that I am one of them. So thank you again, and have a great night. I hope that everyone that sees this, wakes up into the truth that is Jesus Christ, and we move on into a better future.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, that is it for this week, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in, for sharing this with one person, and for subscribing and donating if you feel so led. I really appreciate all that you do to support the podcast and get the word out there, get the truth out there for people that, for many of you, for people out there, there are people out there that are like me and you and Jackeline at one point, searching for the truth, perhaps not there yet, but testimonies like this go a long way to be able to provide seeds of support, truth, and hope for people like that. And if you're new to the podcast, this is already episode 36, so we have many more interviews just like this one that you heard today with people like Jackeline, interviews that detail the deceptive nature of things like meditation, Reiki, past lives, psychics, and how there's only one true way in this life, and that's through Jesus. And just implore you, if you haven't done so, pick up a Bible, start reading that. I think I've mentioned this many times before, that a lot of people, that book is the last thing they pick up when they're on their spiritual journey. So if you haven't done that recently, I really implore you to do that. And just thank you again for tuning in this week. And again, I will be praying for all of you impacted by the war in Ukraine. My heart is with you, and just remember again that God is with you. And I hope that you all have a great week. I will see you all this time next week, everybody. Take care. I'll be praying for you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.